So thank you for joining our webinar. And this solution architecture actually is a brand new course. We launched this in the middle of this year, 2025. So this is actually based on the ISA BTABoK, right? So some of you, I believe that have attended my earlier webinar a couple years ago. We mentioned it called ITABoK, IT Architecture Body of Knowledge. So about 2 years ago, ISA has rebranded the ITABoK to become BTABoK, Business Technology Architecture Body of Knowledge. I think this is aligned with the global direction, because what happened is that everybody now is talking about how can we deliver value of technology to the business, especially today in the era of AI, whereby everybody need to buy a new server, buy a new laptop with the AI enabled. So we really need to justify the value of technology. And of course, the issue about project failure, about the project that do not deliver business value are still happening today. Despite we have been talking about this in the last 20 years, but happening say today or this morning. So solution architecture actually is the vehicle or the platform where we really can deliver action. Whereby the rest of architecture basically talking about the blueprint, talking about the concept, talking about how we can build a robust system. But solution architecture is the vehicle that make it happen. Yeah. So without the solution architecture, basically, we only can talk, we can only model, we can only discuss, but nothing get delivered. So solution architecture is the so-called platform or the architecture that work closely with the project team to deliver a successful transformation. And of course, talking about solution architecture, the role I think that I have been so-called highlighting this couple of times, that is the only architecture role or only the only IT role that being abused. Yeah. So what do I mean by being abused? Being abused means many people say, oh, I don't really have a job specific title and our coverage or your job scope is too wide. So okay, let's call it solution architect, right? So solution architect basically is everything included, right? So if you buy a package, basically is that you got 1,001 product or item listed in there. Why? Because it's included in the solution, right? So solution is include like when they have a technical issue, they call the solution architect. When the project going to start, they call solution architect. And of course, when the printer jam, who to call? Guess solution architect again. So at the end of the day, solution architect do almost everything under the planet. And of course, if you see all the vendors, the consultant, the pre-sales, they don't call it pre-sales anymore. It's not sexy enough. So they call themselves solution architect, right? But actually, they are just doing the selling. So solution architect is, I think, is the only architect title or IT title that are being abused by many factors, right? And in fact, interestingly, I have delivered this solution architecture course. Actually, it's a 5 days training. And there are quite a number of them already performing solution architecture job for the last 10, 20 years. And they were quite shocked to discover that, oh, actually, this is the real job of the solution architect, right? Although I've been carrying the title of solution architect, now I realize, oh, what I did was in the past not really a solution architecture. But somehow I thought that I'm doing a solution because I'm being called to address some technical issue and etc. Right? So now is this topic actually I'll be addressing about the solution architecture from real practitioners of architects. And of course, this is the role itself is defined by the ISA BTABoK. So BTABoK is the collection of the best practices. Yeah, so that's basically the landing story about the topic of this afternoon. So let me just begin by introducing who is ISA. I think earlier Faisal introducing who's ATD, so let me just introduce who is ISA, right? I believe some of you have been involved in the ISA activities or attended our event, because I think we have been running this event since early 2008. 2008, I think I started delivering a lot of ISA event across Asia Pacific. So of course, ISA itself founded in 2002 in Austin, Texas, that focuses on the digital advantages. So digital advantages means everything that we do, right? Including from what we do for customer, for our business, for our employee, for our operation, everything need to be digital. Yeah, so this is basically what ISA believe. And secondly, of course, ISA is the largest independent technology and vendor agnostic architecture community, right? Today, I think almost the chapters across the globe, right, is exceeding 80,000. And ISA is the only so-called body that are focusing on the BTABoK, Business Technology Architecture Body of Knowledge. And I think some of you understand that body of knowledge means collection of the proven best practices. Okay, of course we can think, hey, I don't need body of knowledge. I think I will acquire the knowledge and experience. Yes, you will, but it may take you 10 years or 20 years. But with BTABoK, you can learn it in a few hours or few days, right? Because why? It's the proven collection of the best practices. As you can see here in the diagram, right? If I can turn on my cursor, yeah, my laser pointer. So basically, this diagram is a live BTABoK, right? You can go to the IASA website, and all the icon here are clickable, right? And I think the inside the icon actually is about architecture canvas. So in the IASA BTABoK, is IASA really emphasizing on the practical aspect of the architecture, and that I will highlight this in the towards the middle of my presentation about all these icon and also the layers of the architecture, so-called body of knowledge. Yeah, so this is called IASA BTABoK. And of course, ISA is non-profit and run by practicing architects. But however, like you want to get certified, of course, you need to get a membership because ISA also still need a financial to support their day-to-day operation. Yeah. And of course, the ISA Business Technology Architecture Body of Knowledge covering not only business architect or solution architect, but also covering all architecture domain, right? In the business, information, software, infrastructure, and solution architect. So basically for all architect domain, right? So the domain, of course, if you go into the open group way, they call it BDAT, Business Data Application and Technology. But ISA call it Business Information Software, Infra, and Solution Architecture. Huh? Of course, the development of the BTABoK is not an overnight. It's not about 5 years, 10 years, but I think it's almost coming to 20 years. Yeah? So 20 over years, right? Of course, as of now, 2025. So BTABoK basically is the collection of the best practices from the community of architects from all over the world. So they have, of course, qualitative. Qualitative means basically about how do we deliver the value, right? The perception, the engagement, the touch point. After that, got quantitative. So quantitative basically is about the actual numbers, right? To prove that or to vote to agree that this is the correct method, right? So ASA has been doing that in the last 20 years, and of course, all the content it become a training material, right? So the I've been myself involved in this architecture training BTABoK, I think in the last almost 15 years. And many of them are actually the students keep coming back because it's quite addictive. What do you mean by addictive? Addictive means, wow, it's very interesting, this topic. So when is the next course, right? So after they learn the next course, wow, quite interesting. And typically they can relate to what they have done in the past. And of course, consistent feedback that it keep coming back. They said, oh, I wish I attended this training 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I started my career, right? Because if I attended this training 15 years ago or 20 years ago, my life would be much different today. Because what the workshop or the exercises that has taken place or presented during the course actually is about our day-to-day life. If you are working in the IT professional, that's typically the challenges, the problem, the issue that we are facing every day. So not only technical problem, business problem, and also human problem. Human problem means how do we deal with the difficult colleague, and how do we deal with the difficult bosses? How do we deal with the difficult stakeholders? So all these are come into life in the ISA courses. Yeah. So this basically BTABoK is documenting all this and presented in the training courses plus certification. Yeah, so you will earn the certification like the CITA-F, CITA-A, and etc. Yeah. So I think earlier you have attended from Faisal presented about this learning path. So I'm not going through in the detail, but I think I just want to tell you where we are, right? So if you can see the cursor here, we are in the solution architecture. So we are basically for the next 1 hour, I'll be sharing with you some insight, what you will experience, what you will gain, what you will learn in this solution architecture. And of course, there's a prerequisite, right? So this is 5 days, and they got a prerequisite called Enterprise Architecture Core. Of course, you might ask, what is that? So this Enterprise Architecture Core is another 5 days training, whereby the 2 days actually focusing on the business architecture, because anything we do in the IT need to be started from the business. So what are the business problem we are trying to solve, right? And then of course, after that, we understand the business, analyze the competitor, analyze the market, analyze the requirement, analyze the challenges, and analyze the customer, the client, and the business itself. So that one is spent about 2 days. And the 3 days actually is about solution, right? So after we understand the business, we need to map into the solution. how are we going to help the business to run? Because today in the digital context that any business initiative, even marketing initiative or sales initiative, even the customer experience, etc., need a technology to enable that. So the 3 days is about thinking about not thinking about architecting what solution that can serve business well. So this 5 days I've been conducting these courses couple of times, and some of the company basically, of course, have an early consultation. So I would advise you can bring your business people together with you, and also your IT people or your architects, right? We learn together. So the first 2 days, typically, the business people will lead and the IT people struggle, right? Because they say, oh, normally we don't involve in this. Now suddenly they need to go dig up about business more, understand the business more. And of course, after that, they develop, finish the 2 days, the next 3 days, of course, business people struggling, right? Because IT people will lead. But that's how it works. You need to know all these two came about business and the technology together. Yeah. So this basically about the introduction. Then when you go to the solution architecture, actually it's the expansion of the 3 days. That's why we make it a mandatory for student to go through this. But if you go through the solution architecture, you don't see the other earlier part of the business side, right? Because the other early part of the business part, the 2 days, is expanded to 5 days in the business architecture specialization. I think I will do the preview same like this, maybe early next year, right? So this is another 5 days of the specialization. And of course, this one you earn the logo called CITA-F, Certified IT Architecture Foundation. This one called Associate. Yeah. And of course, they got any other courses, but I think there are other webinar and the presentation that can highlight the rest of the courses.